Hey, what's up, guys? So I don't even know where to start. I haven't done a video update in like months. So yeah, so I'll just run through as quick as I can. Uh, we did the nationwide book tour, which we started in New York at Blue Stockings Bookstore, which is awesome, and you guys should go there and pick up a copy if you haven't gotten one yet. Uh, Went through Connecticut, New Jersey, stopping at Franklin Street Works in Stamford, which was a great show with Holly Danger doing visuals. Um, New Jersey, there's a very cool little bookstore out there that you should check out. All the details for all the spots of the places that I went to are online on my website at kentevans.net under the news page. Um, let's see. My cat is going crazy back there, and I just had a son 2 weeks ago. Liam Singh Evans Wacker was born on January 29th at well, roughly 2 in the afternoon. So that's great. Me and V are doing good here in Mexico. Um, like I said, the tour was nuts. We went everywhere from the tri-state all the way up to Burlington, Vermont, and then cut down through all of the deep south into Louisiana, cut across Texas, hit Arizona, and then covered California for the end of the tour by November. So that was awesome. I mean, it's up and down. What I hadn't realized, and since the tour I did for Malice Ondas, when I toured for Malice Ondas, kind of Barnes and Noble and Borders and all these kind of mega stores were driving all the independents out of business. And back then, the ones that were struggling, they were really supportive, but they were really small. Well, coming around for this tour for Robots, it turns out that, well, Barnes and Noble and Borders and all those guys got mostly driven out of business by the internet and by Kindle and e-readers and all that sort of stuff, which led me to several realizations. One, amusingly enough, the fact that those guys drove all the independents out of business means that the independents that were left were all kind of big ones, kind of like Borders and Barnes and Nobles themselves. So when Barnes and Nobles and Borders and all those guys got kind of driven out and under, these independents kind of filled in that spot. So I had a very strange and cool and interesting and at times frustrating tour this time around. And what I mean to say about that is that there were some incredibly super indie bookstores that I thought were awesome. I mean, notables are Blue Stockings in New York, Changing Hands, and especially Lawn Gnome in Phoenix, Arizona, which, I mean, those guys are so independent, they don't even use Ingram. And in Louisiana, Maple Street Books, those guys were really cool in New Orleans. I mean, they got a bunch of branches, but they're all really small and personal and and cool. And you guys should go out and support all those guys. On the flip side, I'm not going to mention names, but there were definitely some places that like Providence especially. There was this one uppity lady at this spot that like, look, there's no way you could have that accent and you didn't go to Brown. All right. And I had a couple more disappointing spots, like San Fran and LA had some really cool bookstores, but at the same time I had iffy experiences at a couple of them. That being said, if you're in LA or San Fran, you should support and go to Books Inc. and Green Turtle and Alexander Book Company. And there's cool spots out there. There's cool spots out there, definitely, most definitely. Um, but anyhow, yeah. So that was the tour. It was nuts. It was crazy. The whole time I had Johnny Hunt playing rhythm guitar and acting as my roadie and general bro. Thank you, man. It was awesome having him play for almost all the shows. Drew Trudeau for the New England dates. I mean, from Sick Boy, that guy, Drew, thank you so much. I mean, he really held it together. He played bass and did production for all the New England shows, up and through Rhode Island and Cambridge. As far as press, I just thinking of Cambridge, by the way, we had some really great press. Thanks to the guys over at Cambridge Day and the Hartford's Books Examiner and Kirkus Reviews and Race Refuge and then a million blogs between Fairy Cakes and Great Minds Think Aloud and The Unconventional Librarian and Think Like a Label, and you know, those guys were great, and the press was awesome the whole way. As far as, and I'd like to especially, as far as live interviews, I'd like to especially thank the cats over at Big Blend Radio, who did some pretty awesome interviews. You should check those out, as well as It's Relevant and Martini Productions, who did some live video interviews. You can look those up on YouTube. Those were also cool. Any hungover babbling is completely my fault. Those guys were awesome and professional. And then let's see what else. So, you know, Crazyland. Laura Wilson. Wilson, incredible gypsy violin player, a friend of mine for decades. Amazing fiddler. She played with me for a whole lot of the tour. In Texas, I had Daniel Rourke, who came out and really represented for the Austin dates, and then California dates, especially Los Angeles, for example, for the Book Soup and the Sam Ash shows. I have to give a super big up to Carl Restivo from Tom Morello's band, who was just awesome and basically put me up in his, aside from everything else, put me up in his apartment for the time I was in LA. And Carl, if you don't know this, bizarrely enough, my son was born with them playing that Shakira track that you play guitar on, the Hips Don't Lie or whatever, which I thought was bizarre and weird and you should check out. So anyway, to all you guys, I mean, thank you so much for everyone that came out for the tour. You guys totally made it worth driving 10,000 miles in a Toyota Yaris across the entire country for several months. Thanks for all the old fans and new fans who made it cool. And if you haven't had a chance to get out there yet, like I said, go to your local independent bookstore. You know, if you're in New York, go to Court Street Books or Blue Stockings. If you're out if you're out in Texas, go to River Oaks or Brazos or any of those guys. Just, you know, get out there and support. You know, get out and support. I need it. I got a newborn son right now. So anyway, this is much love. If you want to check things out, I've been a little bit lax on posting stuff up on my page, but that's because I'm just a lazy former bourbon drinking lunatic at this point. And it's funny, you know, I think my whole life, I think I've actually sleep-wise been preparing for this, because everyone's like, oh, in newborn you don't sleep. I'm like, well, I kind of never did sleep. But, you know, that being said, I just posted, for any of you who are fans of mine on Facebook, which is the facebook.com author Kent Evans. I'm sure you've already seen the post that if you go in and buy a book and then just message me and let me know, I'll send you a link to a free download of the album that comes with the book. Funny enough, when I was talking about before with sort of the major chain bookstores being driven out by e-readers, I became aware on the tour that apparently the e-reader version of my novel, which you can get on iBooks, is probably if not the first, is one of the first in history that an author has released an iBook with an album that he composed and recorded embedded within the album, which I think is pretty neat. So anyway, and that's for any of you that have an Apple product that reads on one of those things, get that. There's two versions on iTunes and iBooks. One is without the album embedded and one is with. Obviously, the slightly more expensive one is the one embedded with. And if you got the book and you haven't got the album, you know, and you want to check that out, just go on iTunes or CD Baby or wherever you want to get that. We had some cool moments just with that album. So it's, you know, like one day I got forwarded this link and we had under new trip hop and intelligence adaptive music, we debuted pretty high on Amazon, and that was pretty neat as well, you know. And so I'll let you guys know what new projects are coming up as well. I think Moises from Quantum and We're Not Vampires, who did one of the tracks on the original soundtrack. I think him and I are going to start working on some more spoken word tracks, as well as I'm going to be doing some instrumental work and other things with some other local musicians down here. As far as writing, I got a billion poetry collections and short story collections that I think I'm going to start working on. I get out there, and of course finish off everything I'm doing with robots right now. So, like I said, big up. Thank you. Thank you for supporting everything, and thank you for being there. And all you guys rock. Thank you for the billion people that put us up on their couches throughout the tour. For everyone that showed up in every strange situation on the Bourbon Baby Book Tour. So, yeah. I love y'all. Give me a shout. Peace.